Yay! All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're very excited to welcome you. This is our second Geoship Ambassador Program meetup. So we're going to give just a minute or two for everyone to get on. I think we had around over 40 people in our waiting room. So lots of motivated ambassadors. Excited to have you with us this morning. So we'll give maybe just a few more minutes, maybe just a minute or two, and we'll get started. We have a great group, and let's see, do we have we don't have the chat going, but we'll hopefully have a chance to hear from a few of you later on today as we continue through the program. We have a really exciting day for you. So we'll go ahead and get started. We're really happy you guys can be here. Again, welcome. We're very grateful for your support. If you haven't seen the WeFunder campaign, I mean, it has been absolutely amazing. We're so excited to be able to see the success and the traction. And a lot of that has been due to the great work that you guys have been doing. So it's really wonderful. Thank you again so much for your support with that. We are truly building strong and resilient communities together. And ambassadors, each and every one of you plays an absolutely crucial role, not just in working with us to amplify our mission on social media, which you've been doing, but also in helping us in opening up doors. There are colleagues, investors, new connections, a lot of those that have been, coming to the table, a lot part of this ambassador movement, and it's really accelerating our journey together. We're so grateful for that. So one thing has definitely been clear with the US election, and that's that the push towards decentralization may definitely accelerate. And that actually makes our work in co-creating these regenerative communities even more essential. So starting today, we're crafting a future where people and the planet will thrive. And we are so honored to have you guys here with us as part of our movement, because you, the ambassadors, you make up this movement. You are the faces, and you are the effort. You are the people who are going to be really helping us to bring this company and this movement forward. So let's keep building. And I wanted to give just a few shout outs to get started. We have some ambassadors who have been amazing and already, getting the word out and working really hard to help Geoship. So a couple of shouts out. Stephen Fan, thank you for investing big time and engaging with our crypto community on Twitter. We really appreciate that. And Raj, for sharing on YouTube. Sorry.
Really,
Oh. Oh,
you're back.
Oh, that was strange. Sorry about that. Raj for sharing on YouTube and X and our circles together. We have Shobha for writing blogs and media, and James for opening up doors to the prestigious Rodal Institute. Some really exciting accomplishments. Dylan got us an interview on Fox, so that's awesome. And Eric socialized Geoship with his wonderful clients. Thank you, Eric. And then we have the Palmas, whose whole family is investing and carrying the torch from Hawaii. That's awesome. And thank you for that. We have Kyle for spreading the word at Climate Founder and investor events, LinkedIn posting, and more. We've got Jason sharing Geoship with his corporation, AT&T, and looking to host an event about Geoship regenerative communities with the employees. And then last but not least, we have Joshua for starting a big campaign called the Regen Roadshow, and his company Loki, and including Geoship as a partner. So all of these ambassadors hard at work. This is each and every one of you who really making moves and getting started quickly. I mean, remember, this is our second event. This is our second meetup. So thank you for all of your hard work. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Misha. I know you're here a lot just to hear the inside track from Misha and hear about what's happening at Geoship as part of our journey. So now over to Misha to give a quick company update. And thank you again to all these amazing ambassadors. And there's probably more that we're forgetting, but thank you all. And Misha, turn it over to you to talk to us a little bit more about some of the exciting progress that's happening at Geoship.
Thank you, Sarah. Welcome, everybody. Ow! Super excited to have you. Great seeing so many familiar names in the room who have been such great supporters of this mission. And we're just so grateful for you. We actually just had somebody come in through the WeFunder today and commit $130,000. So that's some big news this morning. The last couple days, we had a product offsite, and it was just really incredible. We had our whole product engineering team, a lot of our whole team was there, really just learning about everything that's happened and everything we're going to be doing. And it was a really special time because there were so many things we've completed and accomplished, and the kind of things we started working on, like the installation process that we haven't really gotten deep on yet. It just showed us how close we actually are. And, it's like, it feels so close that I can like smell it, I can taste it. We have equipment coming in the factory. We have electricians and plumbers setting up all the infrastructure in the factory to be able to install the equipment in the proper location. So, it's just so much is happening here, and we're getting so close to production. And it's because of people like you that have invested in this company and have brought in other people and supported us in growing our community that have made that possible. So we're just so grateful. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Misha. That's exciting. We have a really great and technical presentation for you today. So one of the things that we like to do for our ambassadors is really give you kind of the in-depth look that a lot of other people, maybe the general public or the general community, would never have an opportunity to hear about or to see. So these are things that are happening right now at Geoship. These are things that are very exciting for us. And so we're letting you guys all into that. We really want you to be on the inside of what's happening. And we really want to give you guys an understanding of what makes Geoship and our product so incredibly unique. So we have a discussion today. We have two of our Geoship employees here today who are working in the trenches every single day. They're actually taking time away from doing a lot of amazing things. So we are so fortunate to have them here. We have Paul Choyne, he's the head of product engineering, and Craig Darian, our CTO today. And they're going to dive into more of Geoship's technical advancements today. So we're going to turn it over to them, and we really want your questions. So the point here is we want this to be a technical, interactive discussion. So we're going to give you guys a chance to ask these guys some tough things that are on your mind. So first we'll start off and let them just give us an overview and talk through, and then we will have some time for questions. So without further ado, Paul and Craig, we would love to hear what you're working on.
Craig, why don't you go?
Paul, you want to go? Oh, you want to go?
And maybe before you guys start too, just a quick little bit of your background, I think would be great for the ambassadors to hear, if you don't mind. Just share a little bit kind of, you have, I know, some really amazing experience, both of you. And so maybe just touch really quickly on your background and what brought you to Geoship, and then dive in really quickly, if you don't mind, because you guys both have amazing experience to bring to the table.
Okay. Misha, who did you want to go first?
Just go for it, Craig.
Okay. So my name is Craig, and I spent the first 13 years of my career in motorsports, IndyCar, NASCAR, some Formula One consulting, military vehicles, back to NASCAR. Left at the end of 2011, went to Tesla at the beginning of 2012. That's where I first met Paul. Helped launch put in some of the early production lines for the Model S. Helped deliver the first 10 cars. Paul was there as well, and delivered hundreds after that, frankly. The end of quarter pushes always kind of united everyone. Left at the end of, it took over all vehicle dynamics, led that from the end of 14 through the end of 18, and then came down here to LA to join another housing startup, frankly, looking at homes as an engineered product and not an assembly of parts. And that's really what we're doing here at Geoship, is treating the home like when you don't have to re-engineer the home from the ground up and go to structural engineers and go to architects and go to boutique, HVAC engineering and all these other services that are available, but very expensive. And we're engineering our parts, and Paul will get into this a little bit more, to enable site for the home to come together at the site like a car comes together on its production line. And that's what's going to enable impact. That's what's scale, and with scale impact. And that's what we're looking to bring to the world. with that over and over, continuing to drive down costs and increase opportunity for people. Just a complete paradigm change of what's possible.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. My name's Paul Choin. I'm fairly new to Geoship. I think probably a lot of you on the call have been plugged into the company longer than I have. But um, my background is in automotive. Out of school, I went to Honda R&D in Ohio, and then came to the West Coast to work for Tesla. There designed the chassis for the SX and 3. Um, then moved to Apple for a special project for the last 7.5 years, working at Zoox, which is an autonomous vehicle company that was sold to Amazon about 4 years ago. So switching from automotive to homes seems like a big leap, but actually an OEM builds a system and not any individual parts. And so that's what we're doing here again, is just building this system. And some examples of the first things that I kind of dove into is the structure of the dome, what the dome geometry is, and made some small but meaningful changes to things like where we truncate the triangles, such that the loft floor connects into the hubs, the nodes, and that's where the structure wants to be, is into those node sections. And that allows us also to load up the outside of the dome and leave the middle kind of flexible, so the walls in between don't carry any load. And so
To build on what
well, I just from then it's a matter of working with our structural engineers to understand all the requirements from a loading perspective into each one of the members, and then gather things like what kind of draft the manufacturing team needs, because if it isn't easy for them to make, then it doesn't scale. So we need to work together very closely to make sure that they can just pop the parts out without any fuss.
Thank you. Craig, did you have something that you were going to add in or elaborate on that?
Well, I just want to highlight what Paul's saying there. Right, when we talk about having these very robust homes, right? So Paul is taking care of the details that enable this home, and we haven't fully tested it yet. We're just building some R&D parts right now. Team's getting better building those R&D parts every day. That's what's in process. And we're going to be building the first production parts here in a few months so that we can deliver, first half of next year, the very first dome, if not sooner. And then we've been investing in the manufacturing as well, so that we can scale this quickly and begin to deliver to our early customers next year and beyond, and grow outside of that. So that's why we're here, is to treat this as something that's different, just like everyone here is interested in living differently. We look at this product as being able to allow for that much more easily than anything else. And with, just to reduce the cost of overhead. I don't know a better way to say it, but just to make it easier for everybody to realize that resiliency of living for the product and for living.
I see a question about the walls and kitchen cabinets. So the interior walls, like I said, are not structural. So we plan to make them in different modules at our factory, and then they get kind of installed on site, kind of clipped together as to each other. So this is like a 4.5-foot by 3-foot section that kind of blocked together, and then they'll be finished off and cladded with we call it wall skins. That is the Georock material. But then the cabinets themselves, at least for the first dome, that'll be wood or some other material just from a cabinet maker.
Yeah. Over time, we look at as manufacturing grows in capability and throughput, we'll be making more and more material out of this Georock, especially as we learn about it more and we can use it in different ways. We're looking at ways, right? We have exterior capable Georock, structural Georock, lightweight Georock, flooring Georock. It's already being used in a lot of ways, and we'll continue to integrate it.
Craig, do you want to talk a little bit more about GeoRock? I know that's a really kind of a secret sauce that we're working on, and I know there's a lot of really cool parts of it, and it is one of the most unique, innovations that we have. Do you want to dig into what makes it so unique and kind of what differentiates it, or discuss any more about GeoRock?
The reality is that I've learned more from Morgan on GeoRock than anything. Truth be told, Paul and I don't come at this as material experts. We've hired a material scientist who is a 10-year expert on GeoRock and other bioceramic materials. What we're doing with the material, the goal of the material and what it's enabled for us is high compressive strength and no organics. So what that means is it's not off-gassing. There's no VOCs. Another big point of the product is no painting, right? And making sure that we have a very healthy interior space for all of us. And also, Paul talked a little bit, I want to touch base on it, about the system of the engineering. And basically what that means is, like what I did to get into this housing market, as I was having a good time at Tesla, but I left because I had done a home remodel in the Bay, and the effort that it took to do it well, and the fact that nobody was really thinking about it from anything other than their individual perspective. And they're just like, we're just going to put vents here and we're going to have the HVAC work over here. But that doesn't mean it worked well in the home. And I did all my own CFD to make sure that we were putting the ducts in the right place, just to double check pressure differentials across the home. And that's what we're doing for the Geoship. And so when we talk about, not just resilient structure, but, unparalleled IAQ, right? Indoor air quality, as they say. So that not only is it not off-gassing, but, we challenge ourselves to say, how can we put this in the middle of a forest fire and it be the healthiest, safest place to be? I don't know that we're there yet, but that's one of the stretch goals that we would love to be able to achieve.
That's amazing. That would be incredible. I know we do have the fortune of having Morgan on the call. So not to put you on the spot, Morgan, was there anything else that you might want to add into that? So thank you, Craig. That was really good. But since we have Morgan sitting here too, I don't know if you guys noticed, Morgan's on the call, our co-founder Morgan, and he is an expert in lots of things and kind of our spirit guide too. So I would love to hear from Morgan about a little more about that, if that's okay, Morgan.
Sure. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I think of GeoRock as kind of a part of a fifth family of materials. Like we have metal, wood, concrete, petrochemicals were kind of the main building products of the past. And now sort of geopolymers are a fifth family. And GeoRock is technically a chemically bonded ceramic. So it's different than a geopolymer, and the geopolymer, just the word polymer implies non-crystalline, but these materials are crystalline. And they cure at room temperature, not requiring high heat like regular ceramics, but they have covalent and ionic bonding and a crystalline structure like ceramics. And they also have, like a polymer, kind of this bonding ability. They bond at a molecular level with wood and with metal and with themselves, and cure really quickly at room temperature. And this initial formulation that we're going to market with is really a bioceramic. So there are versions of chemically bonded ceramics that are not technically bioceramics, but this one is a bioceramic. Is actually used in the human body as a bone cement. So that the main ingredients are similar to the chemical composition of bone. And then it's always GeoRock is always a ceramic composite being a key word here, that there's always fibers entrained with the ceramic in the form of either chopped fiber distributed through the ceramic matrix, or rebar, potentially either fiber or steel rebar, and continuous fiber in the form of like scrim or weaves, depending on the part. And it definitely just healthy natural material.
I'll just chime in really quickly from a business perspective. What GeoRock does, it allows us to make a significant amount of things out of the same material and scale much more efficiently and cost effectively than any other home manufacturer out there. So,
Yeah.
GeoRock really enables a significant cost savings, which is what allows us to deliver our vision, which is to make the best home on earth, the most affordable home on earth. And it's the properties of GeoRock combined with the geodesic structure that really allow us to do that. So it's really key to our impact objectives, our business objectives, and I think it's one of the very unique strengths of this company. And the fact that we're doing domes makes it even better because like the GeoRock is much stronger than it needs to be for a geodesic dome, but I think a lot of other companies may have discounted it because the geodesic dome distributes the stress very evenly, and so it's really a perfect material for this type of form factor. So
Thank you, Misha. And this, you guys are hearing, these are really important key messages. As ambassadors, you guys are going to be responsible for going out there and sharing the most important talking points of the company. And what you're hearing here about GeoRock, this is the kind of information that, people need to hear. This is what makes this company so special. And so I think keep in mind, all of this information is really good talking points for you all to have as you're out there, sharing. So looks like we have a couple of questions. I think I saw Alexander bop on first, and then I see Josh as well. So, and then there's a couple more in the chat. So, Alexander, do you want to ask any questions that you might have for our team?
Sure. Joshua was first, but I'm happy to go.
Oh, sorry, Josh. Go ahead. That's very polite of you. Either one is fine.
I appreciate that, man. Maybe I don't steal your question here. I'll be careful. So maybe you don't want to speak too much to business plan or business objectives specifically, but I'm in Bangkok right now for big community building events, heading to Dubai. Had a lot of calls with people in South America recently. Alexander is in Netherlands. There's a lot of interest in Europe. Without going too deep into the business side, maybe on the technical side, what is the thoughts on transportation when people are actually purchasing these? So they can be able to be packed up in containers and shipped off, and then assembly on site. What's the ability to really get this out into the world? This is the solution that the world needs. What's the thought behind this as far as how we can really, aside from setting up factories on location or in regions, how quickly can we actually package these up, send them out to locations, and assemble them on site in distant lands?
Great question. So when we look at site as our assembly line, right? But instead of the car going down the assembly line, the parts come to site. And so we're designing all of our parts to be able to be packaged up into shipping crates that can go into containers that can be transported either internationally as necessary or even within the country. So those would right now ship to trained installers. We're not just opening up the doors at any point in the near future for people to install these themselves, though we are engineering the entire product to be able to be installed by lightly trained individuals. Right now, the number one bottleneck to construction in the United States are the construction workers. The average age of the electrician just crested 50. The average age of a plumber crested 40 a few years ago. And so, younger people aren't getting into the trades. There was actually a little bit of a blip about a year ago, so we'll see if that continues. But regardless, there's still a huge backlog, and we need to be able to do this easier. So the way that these parts are assembled are so that you can take tooling like you would use on an automotive assembly line. We've all seen the videos on YouTube of a car going down and the robots working. We don't need robots yet, and we're designing our parts to be a little bit smaller so that people can handle them and install them with the tools and with the processes provided. So much like, an automotive technician would be trained up on the new product from, GM or Ford or Tesla, we would train up our installers to use the tools, to do the quality checks along the way. And that's a big deal here. One of the reasons construction usually has inspections along the way is because there's no quality manual to follow. There's guidelines, but that all of that quality is put on the inspector, not on the individual team, the construction workers. So that's a big advantage that we're implementing. Just like a car, when it's homologated, ready to be sold into a specific country, and pass the crash tests and other quality controls, and you have to submit samples throughout its production process to ensure that you're doing it correctly. We're going to take the same approach here. Does that answer your question, Josh? Was that?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's a big question. And then somebody else was asking about how to become a trained installer. So I think that's a big one is getting people
We'll
into
get
these
there.
areas and getting, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
so
we go ahead.
I mean, we're going to have our team, our engineers installing the first domes because we're going to be learning a lot from that process and then iterating on our designs and improving our designs to be installed more efficiently. It is really important to recognize we are a startup, so we're just kind of getting started here. We're going to be delivering our first homes to customers next year, and there's a lot of questions that, to me, are very future oriented, where people are like, "When are we going to be assemble these ourselves, like IKEA DIY basis?" Like, there will be a day that that happens, but we are not putting a lot of energy into that now because we're putting all our energy into getting this to market and delivering to customers. And that's really what you have to do as a startup. You have to be very focused and very thoughtful with where you put your energy so you have the highest chance of success, of impact in the future. So, it is part of the vision one day to be able to deliver something to a customer that they would be able to install themselves. And we don't have a roadmap of knowing exactly when that's going to be, but it's something that we would love to see in the future. There were also some other questions in here around like paint and like the color would actually be mixed into the GeoRock. So eventually customers will be able to select their colors when we start scaling up delivery and be able to customize the colors of their GeoRock. A lot of our first deliveries are just picking it in, like we have a single design that was really beautiful that was done by a professional designer that are going to be like consistent among our first 10 or so deliveries. Um, so
Just to add to that, we look at the product as a canvas for your life. Here's something that you will be able to change over time if you're interested. Here's something that where the parts are easy to remove and be able to adjust plumbing and electrical behind it in the long run. This is not anything we're going to offer immediately, but when we talk about like what does this product enable, those are all things that we're keeping in the back of our mind to make sure that we don't uh, lock ourselves in to anything that's too fixed. And yeah, something, put your art on it, be able to put your own detailing into it. Uh, Misha, we shared has everybody seen the renders, I guess, of the product of what we're the go to
yeah,
market
I'm sure most
actually,
of the
or
people in this room have seen the renders. I'm not sure if
okay.
John Mark has shared the virtual
Oh,
tour with you guys, but we can definitely share that if you haven't seen it yet. So there's another question about the HVAC. It's going to be a ductless mini split HVAC system that works with the outside and then distributes it inside through ducts, but that's going to be embedded into the wall. And it's going to be like
yeah,
a very,
nothing hanging on. No, our goal is to make it for the customers to look at the home and wonder, oh, how'd they do that? Right? To keep things as well hidden as possible, to keep it as available for you to use the space how you want to use it without having to worry about getting in the way of any of the mechanicals, the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
I love that. A canvas for your life. You heard it here first, guys.
That's right.
I can see lots of marketing campaign potential for that one. Okay, wonderful. That was great. Thank you so much. So were there any other questions that you saw within there that you wanted to touch on before we switch it back to answering live questions? I think we have about 10 more minutes. So you have burning questions. You have about 10 more minutes to ask those, and then we're going to switch into some interactive breakout.
I think maybe Alexander had the question, a
Yeah,
live question.
great. Cool.
Him.
Yeah, thanks. It's a bit of a different nature. Um, Curious. Like first, a bit of context. I'm here on behalf of GaiaNet, which is like a connection hub for New Earth projects all across the board. And Geoship is, well, personally one of my favorites. Yeah, we had some good times at the Gathering of Tribes. And I love the images and the content. We've also been sharing it with GaiaNet. We can do a lot more of that because I think it shows also how this new paradigm can look. Like it's something that people can say yes to just as a general vision, and Geoship is a beautiful expression of that vision. The question I have is twofold. I see some people here in this call with a beautiful background, like a geodesic dome background, and I'm curious, whom of you is really inside a constructed geodome or geoship structure? And if yes, I'm really curious, how does it feel to be inside of there, and what are some of the practical implications we should all be aware of like being in that space, spending our time in there?
Yeah,
Who
so
would
I'll kick that off. We've produced one geoship so far, and Paul's background is an image of that geoship. So that is our engineering prototype that is up here and live. The one that's behind me and behind some of the other team members is much more similar to the one we're going to be building in early next year, which is going to be about like I think like 8 to 9x the square footage of the prototype. So it's going to be a much bigger unit. So we're really excited about that leap forward in what we're going to actually be bringing to the world in physical form next year. That has so far been a collection of renders and CADs and all of that. I would love for Morgan to chime in on the feeling of the dome because this is actually something that some of yesterday we had an investor call where some of our biggest investors came online, and they spoke about their kind of all-in moment when they were in the dome, and they just felt they felt the energy of the dome. It felt different to be in there. It felt like very like Eli, our largest investor, he basically slept in a dome one night and woke up and he said he never felt better in his life waking up, and he 10x his investment that day. And that's like a common theme we get where somebody spends some time in the dome and they feel that it feels amazing to be in the structure. And then they kind of go all in on Geoship, including me. I mean, when I was a customer, I had pre-ordered one of these, and when Morgan brought me to the dome for the first time, like I could resonate with it and I felt different being in there. So and I think Morgan speaks on this really beautifully. So maybe you can share a few comments as to why people feel that way when they are in the dome.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so the bioceramic material is bone in around you. So like a biologically resonant material. And we actually did a lot of had a deep dive into like the Vastu Shastra and biogeometry out of Egypt, Vastu Shastra out of India. Like what are the core principles that these kind of temple building practices are based on? And, it really came down to materials that have a high dielectric constant. So they're not conductors and they're not insulators. They're like the ceramic parts in our capacitors. They have a high dielectric. So basically, they hold a charge in a sense. And certain hardwoods have a high dielectric constant. Softwoods are low. Portland concrete, no, not a high dielectric. So materials that have this high dielectric constant, and then geometry that just focuses that into the center. So this is, the geodesic is basically the flower of life geometry in 3D. Why are stone circles, pyramids? Pyramid means fire, like literally fire in the middle. It's just focusing energy into the center. And I think that's essentially the feeling people have in the space is like feeling centered and balanced in the same way that stone circles and pyramids work, essentially. And then really kind of taking that to the level of like recreating the natural field that we humans evolved with. I mean, imagine you're, in a stone circle in a meadow, like there's no toxic materials around you. You have light coming from multiple directions. You're grounded, connected to the earth, and there's natural kind of convection patterns of airflow. And I think that's what it's kind of about is recreating that natural conditions that humans evolved with kind of before, rubber soles and wood floors and all these toxic materials and even right angles. And there's not a lot of right angles in nature. And there's a lot of research out there just in fractal geometry in general, like just seeing these fractal geometry in our visual space has is connected to feelings of just like well-being. So it's really combining a few things here, basically high dielectric materials and fractal geometry, bone material and the flower of life.
Beautiful. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for explaining that. Okay, we're going to take one last question from Jacob, and then we're going to go into the breakout rooms, and we're going to talk to each other and learn a little bit more about each other and do some networking. So, Jacob, please share your question.
Yeah, thanks. Well, there's one in the chat that I was also kind of ties into this, but um, how are the materials for the GeoRock sourced? It was the one in the chat, and then or closely related, I'm curious if the GeoRock could ever be its own product.
Sure.
Good question.
I guess I could answer. They're all sourced in the US. Actually, pretty close to one of the reasons we selected Northern California here as a starting point is that a couple of the key raw minerals are in Nevada and Idaho. And ultimately, they're also can be extracted from seawater desalination, from wastewater treatment plants, and a lot of the kind of lithium mining that's happening, the byproduct of that. It's a lot of times magnesium oxide material that we use. So there's a lot of different sources, all US based, and it's a beginning of sort of a regenerative raw materials industry as these desalination and more advanced wastewater treatment systems come online.
Yeah, and Morgan, one thing that we talked about we haven't talked about in a while, but it's probably important to mention here is I think if we did a calculation about a year ago, it said if we built 100,000, if we were building 100,000 a year, we'd only be using about 3% of the global supply of these materials.
Yeah, in fact,
so these are
US
materials
supply.
ripe for U.S. Oh, sorry, that's right, U.S. supply.
Yeah. And that would be the biggest home builder in the US at that level, and still only be using like 3% of the one mineral that is the most the one that we use the most and is the least able, most limited supply. The rest of them are even less than 3%.
Fantastic. So with GeoRock being that sustainable and easily sourced, and then encouraging the reuse of those other systems, so could it be its own product at some point?
Yeah, it totally could be. In fact, earlier on we talked about that more, and I'm glad we're not talking about it so much anymore because it's just we've got to like hyper focus as a startup. But I think in the future, there's definitely potential that it is used in other applications.
Yeah, because I'm working on what we call a domestead, and rooting on, like, hopefully want to put a geoship next to it, but like even like making my own earthen floor, right, out of geo rock sounds like something. It'd be a little less complicated than putting a whole home together, but you could still be selling that geo rock formula. Say, okay, here's your stuff, here's the instructions, mix it, pour it, you got an earthen floor. So that'd be really cool in the future.
Would be
Yeah,
super
that's
cool.
very good.
Thank you. Thanks. Great questions. Thanks, Morgan. Before we say, say goodbye to this section of the presentation, Craig and Paul, any last comments or anything you wanted to share before we go into breakout room? We really appreciate your time. This is really informative. Anything else on the engineering standpoint that either of you wanted to share before we move into the next section, or Misha or Morgan, of course? Anything you guys wanted to wrap up with?
Well, my only comment would be like, oh, go ahead, Paul.
There was a question asking about the loading of the system. And so we have a hub and strut combination, and the material itself is touching itself, like the hub and strut touch each other. And so we do transfer the load within the GeoRock. So it is structural. We don't want to rely on a typical bolted joint because, like, I don't know, if you work on your car, you've got 20 lug nuts holding your wheels together. And I'm like hyper focused on making sure I get that right. And I still might miss one, right? So if you have 700 connections, we don't want to rely on something that is so easily missed.
Great point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Craig, anything else on your end?
If anybody has any questions that arise later, or Sarah, if we get a list of them, we're happy to answer them asynchronously afterwards, and make sure everybody has the information they need going forward.
That's great. Yeah, you guys, oh, go ahead, Misha.
I just saw a question from Rick, and Rick, great to see you, man. Rick was one of our early ambassadors, and he's been super supportive and connecting us with some great people. So really grateful for you, Rick. And Rick asked a question about, the design life. And we say that this is a home that could last 500 years. The truth is it could even last longer than that. It's going to require some level of maintenance, some level of resurfacing over time, but the material is really designed to last a very long time. And that is like one of the most exciting parts, is that we can build homes that'll last for generations. And so thanks for bringing that up, Rick.
Yeah, great questions. There's lots of amazing questions. One thing to point out, if you didn't see, John Mark made a comment in here that we're actually launching a Facebook group for you. So questions you're getting, it sounds like I saw a question here, or some questions coming around, what happens when I reserve? What's that process? So we want to make sure you guys have answers to every single question that you might need. And even if the answer is we don't know, but we'll let you know when we know, and that may be for some of those questions. So we want to make sure you guys have all the information. So please make lists of those, ask those questions in the Facebook group, and we'll make sure we get back to you with resources and even more in the future to answer all those questions. So thank you. Keep them coming. Really good stuff. Okay, well, this is going to be a fun part. This is something that we want to do more and more. I'd like to kind of give a shout out to John Mark for really getting everyone connected together and bringing in a professional facilitator for us to do some really great breakout sessions. So the next 10 minutes, we're going to be breaking you into groups, smaller groups, and we'll have some questions where you guys will have a chance to ask. So I think we may have those questions up on the screen here. There they are. So we have maybe, I think the first breakout session, let's answer question 1. And the second one, let's answer question 2. And this is just a really casual, informal way for everyone to get together and to get to know each other. So it's just a chance to meet, say hi, learn a little bit about each other. And we're planning on doing more and more of this in more focused and kind of really deep sessions in upcoming meetings. But for now, we just wanted to do a little meet and greet. So thank you for Lauren is supporting us on this breakout. Thank you, Lauren. And if you guys do need to drop, we'll be sharing this out as a recording, and let us know if we have any other questions. We will have, everyone will come back after this breakout and we'll hear some final words from Misha. So if you don't have to drop off, don't, but we do plan to wrap up right promptly at 10. So we'll let the amazing Lauren go ahead and break everyone out into breakup rooms and enjoy your conversations. You have these questions, and we'll look forward to hearing back from you guys in about 10 minutes.
Great. And there'll be about 3 or 4 people in each room. And I tried to organize it so all the AI note-taking bots are in a separate room. So just there may be one just in case.
They're talking to each other.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second, because I've just noted that there's somebody, we've got some folks that just dropped off. So I'm just shuffling. Okay, great. All right. I'm going to open the rooms now. We'll see you again in 5 minutes.
All right. See you guys soon.
Enjoy.
Okay, super. Misha, you want to jump in a room? Would you like to jump in a room? Or
I'm down. I don't want to like take away from their conversation. And my concern is if I jump in a room, I'm like, they're gonna
jump on the CEO.
Oh yeah,
we just lost somebody in room. Oh, okay. We just lost. So room 7 and 8 now only have 2 people. So here, camera. I'll put camera in room 8. Hi, camera. We just started the breakout, so I'm going to go ahead and put you in a room.
Thank you. Sorry, I was at the vet with my dog.
No, not a problem. Okay, we're putting you in a room now.
And Lauren, did you broadcast the question?
I'm going to do it in a moment.
Thanks.
Yep. Right. So I was telling Jean-Marc that I'm going to need like at least a minute to reshuffle the rooms just to deal with the AI bots.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to like have a quick share in between the breakout?
up to you guys if you think we have time for it.
Yeah, I'm just chatting with Slack here. Lauren, what do you think on time?
The other
Sorry.
Lauren?
We can go for another 5 minutes total. So maybe give like 1 or 2 more minutes here and then we'll switch.
No, the question was between the breakouts, so we want to say anything or, I mean,
Just like a
what
quick, just a tiny share, very tiny, just so I have enough time to reshuffle the rooms.
Yeah,
oh,
so
while
we'll
we're
do,
yeah, that works.
yeah, we'll ask somebody to do the share, if anybody has a share, and then Lauren Russo, if we do have time for the second one, I think we do. We're kind of close, but that's okay. We'll wrap up quick.
And do we want the second or the third question? I'm thinking the third question might be juicy. Or
Yeah, either or.
And wetlands tech next page.
It looks like there's a countdown clock too, which is helpful.
yep. Yeah, I'll send another broadcast, like 1 minute left. Okay, so second or third question, just because I'm typing it up if it's the third question in the chat for prompt.
Lauren Russo, what do you think? Second or third question?
Yeah, that's fine.
But to make those all none, because
So third question?
Here, let's go for it.
Okay.
This week, and we're going to shift our focus to some other things. Thanks.
Yes, good to
all
hear.
right, that was fun. Did you guys learn something about everyone else? That was great. I thought that was amazing. I hope everyone enjoyed that. And we're gonna, I guess, do it again right now. John Mark, is that still work for you? We have time to do one more session?
Yeah, and then let's do a quick share from the audience.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's bop into our second question. What do you spend most of your time working on, and what excites you about bringing that experience into community co-creation? So we'll do 5 minutes. We'll come back here, do a quick share, and we'll let Misha take us home. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your sessions.
Sorry, I need a little bit more time. So it would actually be
Oh.
great if somebody could share from that breakout.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. That's great.
Yeah.
Take that. Who would anyone like to share? I can certainly share from my breakout group, but I'd love to hear from an ambassador if anyone wanted to raise their hand or similarities. I thought it was kind of interesting in our group where we all kind of talked about the same thing about loving our communities for the connection and the collaboration and this idea of being a part of something. And I thought it was interesting. We all live in very different places, but had that same theme. Jacob, why don't you share?
Yeah. Met some lovely people. We didn't quite make it to the second half of the question, but definitely connected on
We
our
didn't
home.
either. It was fun though.
Because we visited each other's bioregions, and so it'll be fun to continue connecting on kind of that bioregional awareness and how we can build that into the Geoship community.
That's great. Would anyone else like to share really quickly? Lauren, would you like another share in between to give you a little more
No,
time?
I'm ready
You're
now. Thank you.
ready. You are
Yes, I'm
fast.
ready.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
so
helping us coordinate this too, Lauren. We appreciate
yep.
you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, break us up into groups and let's rock and roll.
Okay,
Thanks.
enjoy the breakout.
We will.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes.
Nice work, Lauren. And
Yeah.
Lauren. And Lauren. And Lauren. Lauren twos.
Orange Square.
Oh, okay. So when they
See, it cuts off this broadcast message.
Can they see the screen in the breakout rooms or does it not care?
If it's I think if it's spotlighted, maybe. Um, I did the broadcast, but it's cut off. It is what it is.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You could skip to the next slide. Rousseau.
We're just 1 minute behind schedule.
Hello.
That was
Hello.
fast.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I hope everyone got some of the amazing content like we got in our group. It was very powerful and a great chance to get to know everyone and lots of good conversations that started. So we have an ambassador poll as we're wrapping up here. So please do a quick poll, answer this poll that should have just popped up right there in front of you, and we'll have you guys take that, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So we'll give you guys a minute to answer these questions. And then hopefully, I think, are we sharing those live, or John Mark, or we'll share that out later.
Yeah, we'll share that out there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, before we close, maybe Misha, are there one or two things that you would just want to share with the group to ground us in everything that's happened today before we send everyone off on their missions?
Yeah. I just want to say that we're so grateful to have all of you as ambassadors. It's something we don't take for granted as a company when people decide to, that they're passionate enough about a mission to share their energy, to share their life force, to support our organization and the mission and the impact we're creating in the world. We really know how special that is. And I think you guys, the effort and energy you put into this is really what drives us and what makes this company special. So just want to share my deepest gratitude for that, and also share that we're smack in the middle of our crowdfunding campaign right now. It is this is the most important thing for us, is that we get the funding that we need to get this pilot production facility fully built out and get our homes delivered to our first half dozen or so customers next year. So proving that and taking that risk out of the equation for the broader investor community is really huge. Once we start delivering homes and proving we have revenue, different types of capital sources open up for us, and in more traditional bank financing and impact related financing that might require us to be in market and not in product development. So this is a really big push we're in right now to get to market and make sure we have the funding to do that. So one of the most important things you guys could be doing right now is just sharing our WeFunder campaign. It's really accessible. Anyone could become an investor for $222. So, it's a low barrier to entry. And we've made a conscious decision to allow for large communities of people to invest in this, because we want the people that really resonate with our vision to be the stewards of the wealth that we create. We don't want to necessarily go raise money from venture capital firms and make all their limited partners richer through what we're building here. We'd much rather see our customers and our fans and the people that resonate with our mission be the ones that benefit from the success we're going to have in the future. So just want to say, it's just when you're talking to people, it's a great opportunity. I think it's going to be one of the best investments anybody could make in their life. So just really appreciate you sharing it with your friends, sharing it with your family, sharing it with people who care. And if you do happen to have people in your network that make larger investments, $75,000 plus, feel free to introduce them to me personally. I'm spending most of my time talking to those folks, and Lauren and John Mark are spending most of their time working on the crowdfunding campaign and specifically. So we're hoping to get this money raised by the end of the year, which would be an amazing feat. The last 3 million we raised, it took us a year to do that. So we're trying to do 5 million in 3 months. So it's at a much stronger clip than before, but we have a lot of momentum and we've made a lot of progress. So we see that happening, and it's through your guys' support that we're really making it happen. So just thank you so much. And, it's game time right now. So let people know and send them to that WeFunder campaign. We're so grateful for it.
Thank you, Misha. Just a couple last things really quickly for housekeeping. So please refer to hive.geoship.is. And that we'll be updating it this weekend with more bios and missions. And mark your calendars for our next ambassador event, which will be December 5th. And we're setting up that Facebook group for you now with all of that info. One of the things we'll be asking for your help on next is we're looking for some super ambassadors to be a part of our council. So John Mark's going to post in Facebook about those roles. We've got some different roles and different areas of expertise that you guys could jump into. So keep an eye out for that and let us know if you're interested. And then also let us know about anything else, any other events or anything else we should be at. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.